if ever. Yeah. So hi, this is a walkthrough on the config changes of the next cycle. I'm Lucas, and with me I have Russ. We're gonna talk about this and see what it's all gonna look like, hopefully in the end of the 112 cycle, so we can make kubeadm go GA. So with regards to the configuration of today, it's already been cleaned up a bit, but still we have all these component configuration of the different components inside of or that kubeadm manage. So, for example, the kubeproxy component configuration looked like this, and that is a bit, and the kubelet is even more, like that. And this means the configuration file gets a bit like heavy, and also the schema of this is like the kubelet configuration is now version 1 beta 1, and the kubeproxy is version 1 alpha 1. And this means that if we're gonna change, or when the proxy, for example, graduates to beta, we need to change API version of the kubeadm spec as well, because in order to move this. So, and if we then imagine we would add the controller manager, API server, and kube scheduler configurations to this as well, it would just be a matrix that we have to bump our own API all the time, basically, because some of these components component config will graduate. So there's a lot of problems there, but also we have with the current config the problem that we call this master configuration, but it includes both information about the place of execution of kubeadm in it, which is like where is a local CRI socket, where is or what is a master, what is a node, what should a node name of the API object be for the current node, what taint should there be, and you can also specify kubelet extra args here for the local node. So I can like do whatever kubelet flag have its key value. And this combined with more cluster level information, like what is the DNS domain for the whole cluster, or what is the service subnet for the whole cluster, isn't that great. So what we're looking to do instead is to, and also the bootstrap tokens information here is really runtime specific. It's only going to be known at the time of execution, and the result is some resources, bootstrap tokens created in the Kubernetes API. But these two are really one-offs and specific to when and where kubeadm is executing. And the other ones, like what is the
bind port?
Yeah, the bind port or authorization mode or stuff like that. It's really cluster specific. So what we're looking to do is to split this all into separate YAML documents. And now we have everything isn't coded here yet, but this is the plan to create an alpha 3 API during the cycle. And if we're okay with the spec in the end of the 112 cycle, we're just going to rename everything from alpha 3 to beta 1. Like alpha 3 never has existed, just like during the dev cycle, so it's okay. We're going to split master configuration into more pieces. So instead of having master configuration, we're going to have init cluster configuration for what's cluster specific. Not everything here is cluster specific, but that's going to be moved. And in its configuration is going to hold what's run on the runtime information only. And then kubelet configuration is its own document with whatever kubelet configuration we like, and kubeproxy configuration. Then we can add more like controller manager configuration when that's available, or kube scheduler configuration when that's available, etc. So this all makes it really way more composable. And when having different YAML documents, we can, for example, source this from another file. So we do config and specify 2 files. And one with the runtime information and one with the desired cluster state specification. So yeah, that is like one the high level direction we want to go in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Cool. I have some PRs up for removing the version 1 alpha 1 and adding alpha 3. But basically the cap for this is going to look like this, or is worked on here. So if you have any like I don't know why this is yellow, but maybe I'll fix that later. So if you have any comments here, please like help out and ask for clarification where needed, or like some good comments. We've got really good comments on this so far. So has influenced the design in a great way. I'm gonna update this later, but one of the things, for example, with regards to images, and this isn't that up to date right now, but what we're thinking is that maybe, so in cluster configuration we'd have API server, separate substract for API server, one for controller manager, one for the scheduler, and then have an image field on each of those.
Yeah.
Which would make it possible to, I don't know how to say it, but like if you wanted to have in CI testing, for example, if you want to have one, you built your images and they all are tagged with like git chars or something, and you want to use these specific images, then this is like a good thing, and that would also make it possible for us to remove the unified control plane image. I don't think anyone is using that, but if in conversions we'd just do that, what you specified there would flow to the specific image fields here. What I'm not sure about, and what I would, for example, like your opinion on, is there is going to be like, well, we do defaulting today and stuff like that, or we calculate the image name based on the image repository and Kubernetes version. So do you think that in defaulting we would populate this field, or would it be left unset in case of yeah,
probably populating may be a better option, but having separate image fields for API server, control manager, and etc. Is a bit risky. For example, for the case of misconfiguration, so someone may, for example, try to run, say, API server from 1.10 Kubernetes, and someone may try to run controller manager from 1.9, and this may result in some, well, probably not difficult to find, but in general, some havoc. And we should probably guard against it. So having these like calculated in the way they are done now, using a version of Kubernetes, and repository prefix is probably the best way to have the core Kubernetes images. While for external images like etcd and kubeDNS or core DNS, it may be better to just specify the image, the full image string, and its separate YAML document.
Okay, so you think that we shouldn't have the image field here at all?
Yeah, for the API server, control manager, and these core components of Kubernetes, we should probably simply stick to version and API prefix. Prefix of the repository, for example, to just the master config, for example, just the way it is right now. And this is simply to ensure that these components are all the same version.
Risk is component. So this is basically what you said,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, that is good feedback. Let me think. So how do we handle images today? So yeah, one other thing that I want to do is, have you seen how to wrap a field in a struct? Have you seen this? The bootstrap token string.
Token string? Yeah, I have seen.
Okay, yeah, cool. So basically, we use Marshall, implement the Marshall JSON and unMarshall JSON interfaces, so that this looks like a normal string in here. It's a normal string. Yeah. But when actually, when deserialized, where was I? There. Yeah. It's actually getting into struct. So that's something I want to do with the Kubernetes version. I don't have that yet here, but version. There we go. So there, I should use a wrapping type, because right now we have the kind of hack here, the CI image repository.
Yeah.
Which sets this control plane image repository stuff. So yeah. Instead, we'd wrap like Kubernetes version string or whatever, whatever we call it. I don't really mind. We'd have zero.
Like the image prefix, yeah.
Like original string, I don't know what to call that. Version, which is version, which is what's actually like used inside of kubeadm. But this preserves the, I don't know, what was serialized, or like what was read from the config would be preserved there as a string, and then the type is there, and then, as you said, yes, if we check that, well, this is a CI, So maybe is CI image, or should use, I don't know, really. I should use CI repository.
We might just skip the CI step. For example, someone may want to have a locally built copy of Kubernetes and host them on their own Docker registry. So this is not necessarily a CI specific thing, but probably some vendoring thing. So it's simply an override of repository for me.
So the repository override is here in image repository.
Yeah.
So this is for, so you can use
different images for the control plane components.
No, so it's like specific. I'm gonna, if I find it.
It's basically use this function, get control plane image repository only for control plane images.
Yeah, so if you specify, if you do kubeadm init Kubernetes version CI cross latest. If you execute that, you see it's gonna use this version because it checked up. It asked curl SSL DL case.io CI cross latest txt, and if it also works with CI latest, and they are at the moment they are the same. But that is the like. Oh no, they aren't. Oh well, I have an old kubeadm output thing. Yeah, no. So that is basically the thing, and here you see that in dynamic defaulting it checks that if this Kubernetes version is a CI version. I could show this. Basically, if it's using a regex, and if it has CI in the front here as a version label, it's gonna return. It's using that regex.
Yeah, so it's going to say it's a CI.
Yeah, and if that's the case, it's gonna talk to the internet and ask like, what is the latest CI version, but those, because there are images pushed to, so I can do a Docker pull gcr io Kubernetes CI images kube API server MD64. No, I shouldn't paste from Google Docs.
The dash v112 dash should probably be underscore.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, kubeadm does this automatically now. Well, anyway, that is because such an image exists.
Yeah.
So then kubeadm is gonna, but this can only be used for the control plane images.
Yeah.
This is not pushed for every commit, CI commit of. Oh well, now I think I remember. Yeah, because it's CI cross, that is. So if we take this one, place a dash there. Start pulling. Yes. There we go. So here is an image we can use, but we can only use it from the control plane. So that is the thing with the. But I really want to. It's really intuitive the way it is now. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, I have to do like tens of different greps to understand where this is coming from, even. So like this is something I want to improve, and using something like this for those. But that's why I wonder: is it like worth it to include? Because
That's actually a bit tricky. It may be useful in either way. Probably if we overlook the misconfiguration option and have people just specify that version explicitly in their YAMLs.
so like I mean, it's gonna work.
But probably we should keep this central, and the way it is with this pool, it's probably better from a user perspective.
Yeah, so
Although,
using this, we can just migrate and make it more clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, what it's just like whether we should add image there, and that I don't know if it makes sense or not. But yeah, it's definitely like tricky with misconfiguration. Can get easily wrong. But this is at least something we want to change, to use a wrap abstract to do this. And using the original string here, we can then, if we specified CI cross in the config, we can then, when again unmarshalling this, it's gonna write the same back, the same string back. So if we specified CI cross in our config, it's gonna use something else internally. Then our specification is to use CI cross. So the next time we execute, it's going to use again that latest CI cross. I don't know if that makes sense. Like
it's a bit confusing.
Yeah, it really is. So, but at least something. We have this functionality on which we have to support it. That is basically what I'm trying to say. But
I think that this way is actually more like the current way it is. So we should probably stick with this one since it's already confusing, and if we simply change it further, it's going to be unintuitive to newcomers.
Yeah, but I'm not. So for the image field, I'm not really thinking about newcomers anyway.
Yeah.
It's more like if you have an advanced use case to actually override the API server, the API server image, this lets you do it. So like yes, bypass cluster version and image repository. But yeah, I don't know. Are there other things? And yeah, so we have like extrags here still, but this is eventually going to use component config as a separate YAML document. We haven't decided what to do with DNS yet, really. Then we'd have join configuration as well. Instead of node configuration, it would be called join configuration.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So how's your availability in the 112 cycle, and like what priorities will you have?
Well, I'm going to be basically available all the time. I'll probably take like a couple of weeks during the summer as a PTO, but I'll be here most of the time. And basically, I'll probably work with Fabrizio and whoever it is on the config side, as I'm a bit more interested in that aspect of kubeadm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll probably have a look at the overriding of the command line arguments override over the config, like
Cool.
this week. So and basically that's my these are my goals. I mean, in the near future, I'll probably simply stick around and ask whatever is there to be done.
That sounds really cool. Yeah, please go through this and like add all your comments, concerns, ideas. Here he's been describing and false flag procedures. Have you seen this?
Not in this text, although I've seen some discussion here and there, like in the meetings and I think Slack.
Yeah. So here, so choose it by constructing a flag set that can parse in the entire command line. Right.
So I was actually a bit surprised for the first time I used kubeadm, for example, that this feature was not put in by default. Like every other command line tool does this thing.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely needs not a lot of work, but some work. And by the time we chose what to do, command lines or flags or like what to support, this technique hadn't been made official. Like this was introduced in Kubernetes 1.10 for the kubelets, and no other Kubernetes component does it yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, we should make it work.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I should take a look at it.
Yeah, the mock value for glow noob set operations. Targeting. Yeah, feature gates is a good example of like what should be merged. That was good. He wrote that there. Yeah, but if you read this, I'm gonna go and look at one flags. Can I assign you this?
I'm still not a member,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you can simply
I'm gonna tag you.
comment.
That's your GitHub name, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Can add active here as well. Actually, in the meantime, I could add you as a collaborator to the kubeadm, so we can assign you kubeadm issues, but not general Kubernetes issues. I could probably do that one day.
Thanks.
And then when you have enough core Kubernetes contributions, yes. I could check.
I think I have several PRs merged, but I'm still not sure what the prerequisites are.
We've said something like, yes, we said something like 10. Yeah, we said around 10 merged PRs is like a good good set. Okay, I could take a look at this when I have time, or maybe Tim could do it.
So basically, I don't think that this PR is actually colliding with your current schema, and it simply is refactoring the interface, and the backend is hidden behind the master configuration. So basically, you invoke get the image or get kube control plane image with the master config, and it goes and gets the image that is supposed to be there. And this is a bit less error prone compared to get core image function. Of course, this takes the master image, the master config, but probably the thing that may change here is like whether we use, for example, the like the etcd config YAML, or whether we use the, for example, split get kube control plane image into get API server image and etc., and simply specify the configs that we get from the specific YAMLs. So probably this is going to undergo some refactoring, but it's basically a step in the right direction. I can mark it as a work in progress, but basically once we finalize the config, it's probably going to take like half of the code that's already in this PR.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm really torn what to do with unified control plane image. Might just so unify so like that was kind of why I wanted to add uh, the different where did I so the image fields was to because like the unified control plane image isn't that great, neither name nor UX.
Yeah.
But to some, I mean, it works for most of the cases to just say Kubernetes version and control plane, but still I do think that there are applications for, let's say, kubeadm will be used for CI testing or like advanced more advanced setups. I think there could be a need to like expose something like okay, I want to override all my control plane images to be X, Y, and Z, and then for the rest of the stuff, I want to use this.
Well, in that case, I suppose that the user is going to be smart enough to simply override his or her own image field in the concrete YAML, like the API server, the scheduler, and whatever YAML file. So we will probably need to have the image field, but this image field does not need to be initialized like uh, by the common user. The common user should probably simply stick to the version field in the master config.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this field does not need to be filled in at all the times.
No, but do you think it would be okay if it's if it's not specified, it's gonna be a pointer, so it's left and omit empty.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be left unset and isn't even gonna be visible in the struct. But if the user sets it, it's gonna be respected.
Yeah, that's kind of what I imagine.
Okay.
So that way unified control plane images can be simply set up here and not like being so invasive in the config format.
Yeah, and then we can also remove this field totally.
Yeah.
And then the like image functions or whatever can then just and then we can start to remove this. If we do the control Kubernetes version stuff, we can also remove this kind of, because it can be embedded in the struct.
Yeah.
And done just once, not for every call every time, and then we don't need override. Okay, but I'm gonna
So basically the main thing here is to get the interface right. Whether the implementation is right at this point of time or wrong, we can simply replace the implementation, but getting the interface right is much more important. As for example, I've seen where get core image was misused. For example, in the, I think it was pre-pooling. Yeah, it was in the pre-pooling code of. There is actually a NIF here that replaces this one, and you can basically attempt to use etcd pulled from the unified control plane image or
Yeah.
from the CI cross, and this is like currently present in kubeadm.
Okay. Kube proxy. Okay, cool. I have only one comment. You should be using the repo prefix as well.
Yeah.
Which is actually a bug, I think, but like in the current implementation, because it shouldn't be using
The core DNS.
core DNS client. It's graduated to use KSRI GCR. But other than that, I think this is okay. And yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I agree with you too that the current implementation is poor. So this is way better. Yeah. So if you make this use get generic arch image instead, then this looks good to me.
Sorry, there was some like noise. What was about the get generic arch image?
So if you use get generic arch image for core DNS as well, and just use core DNS there.
That can be replaced if we're going to use the kates.io prefix.
Yes. So I'm gonna approve this. After fixing the NIT, and use this as a baseline for better image management. Keep going forward. Trace the config changes as well. So you're gonna get the LGTM after fixing that NIT.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Yeah, because well, now we have 111 out the door, so now we can start taking a look at the non-critical 111 stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is basically the. I'm gonna update this. We're gonna work on the cap. I appreciate you working on config. That is gonna be the by far most important stuff for 112. So if we can assign you tasks there, it's gonna be great.
Thanks.
Do you have any more questions about like what we're planning to do with the API or?
Not currently, not at least at the top of my head, but probably if I have, I'll ping you on Slack.
Yeah.
So is it like the next week you join the military?
Yes, in exactly a week.
Yeah.
So I don't know what availability I'll have, but at least like I'm gonna take the train from it's like 500 kilometers or so from where I live. So it's like a 6 hour train between the places every weekend for some time. So like it will be 12 hours kind of commuting from the military service and back home in the weekend. So if nothing else, then I'll have time to do something. I hope. I don't know, and we might have some free time in the evenings, but probably not the first week or 2 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll just see how what my availability will look like. But this week I'm trying to finish some work with the config, so we have a better baseline of starting to change stuff later.
Yeah. Well, at least I hope you have a good time in the military.
Yeah, I hope so too. But thanks.
Okay, so thank you very much for the session.
Cool.
It was very useful for me, and hope for the folks that are going to watch the recording of it.
Yeah, I can post it somewhere. I don't know, a private YouTube link or something, or share it in Slack or whatever. I'll just see. But here is at least a baseline where I describe some of the config changes and like considerations we have for the next cycle. So maybe it can be useful to someone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.